Hello, Tony Mack. Can you hear me? It's Justin Webb here.
Hello, Justin. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks a lot for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No
Early doors
problem.
and all that. Hold on 1 second. We're recording, I think. Yeah, we're up and running and recording. Just first, you will have seen what Channel 4 News filmed. What did you make of it?
What do you mean? What did I make of it? I mean, like everybody else, I was shocked. I was dismayed. The language, the rhetoric. It was a shocking piece of footage. And some of the people in it, I've suspected this for a little while. That's why I've never been part of the campaign. It would never have happened if I was running the campaign. But unfortunately, I was unceremoniously removed almost immediately after giving a statement.
When you say it would never have happened if you'd been running the campaign, I think what a lot of people will feel when they see those clips, and indeed some other candidates as well around the country, is that actually the party is, to put it bluntly, full of racists.
Well, absolutely. I would never have joined a racist party, and I would contend that. I mean, I don't know. I find the party that I joined under Richard Tice unrecognisable under Nigel Farage, and that this has been in the past 3 weeks. 3 or 4 weeks, it's just become something completely different.
Really? So your contention is that this comes from those around Nigel Farage and people like Andrew Parker and others on this film. Did you know them? Were they part of the setup?
Absolutely not. Never met them before. In all my dealings with Reform UK, the only person on that film that I'd met before was Roger Gravitt, and Roger was one of the people who knew that there was no way I was going to stand aside for Nigel. The other people, I have no idea. In fact, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Tuesday on the England game, Nigel Farage and all his entourage watched it in my local pub. So I sat there and watched it as well, and of course they completely stayed away from me because obviously I may be an embarrassment to them. I don't know.
Well, they made you various promises, didn't they?
They certainly did.
They wanted you to stand down.
Yeah.
Have any of those promises been fulfilled?
Absolutely not. They didn't make me various promises. Nigel Farage made me those promises in a phone call to me and
promises
my team.
Like what?
Well, promises like, what happened was Nigel phoned me 30 minutes before he went live on June the 3rd and said, you know why I'm calling? So I said, no, Nigel. I'd never spoken to him before. No, Nigel, I don't know why you're calling. And he said, Peter Harris tells me that you'll be okay if I step aside. Well, I said, Peter Harris was never part of Reform UK. He's part of Tendring District Council, and he is one of the people. I said to him, what's Peter Harris got to do with it? They've never been Reform UK. They actually fielded a candidate against me when I stood as Reform UK in January in the by-election.
So in that conversation, what did Nigel Farage promise you?
The conversation was later, after he knew that I was very unhappy about being forced aside. The conversation was in the evening. The various promises were that all our campaign expectancies, mine and my team's, up until June the 3rd, would be refunded. The words he used was every effing penny. And then he said to me, would you like to be a councillor? I said, no, not necessarily. I said, that's not really what I'm about, And then he said, well, would you like to run the campaign? Would you like a job on the campaign? And I said, well, look, I and my team have put, blood, sweat and tears into this for several months since last October, and built Reform UK in Clacton. No one was aware of a Reform UK were. And I think my team should be shown some respect, that small team that have helped me. And he said, well, okay. He said, words to the effect that they will make the team, make you and your team, part of the campaign.
And has that happened?
Of course, nothing's happened. Absolutely nothing. You need to.
And you haven't had the money either.
No, of course not. You need to remember that after what he said to me on that the 3rd of June, the evening of the 3rd of June was enough to reassure me to secure my statement of support. Okay. He said, if I win this, you'll be head of the constituency going forward. This for me, this is all about democracy and the people being represented. It always has been and it always will be. Okay.
But what they will say is that you are speaking to us this morning out of sour grapes because you feel bad about the way you've been treated, and that's why you've said what you said to us about racism, etc. And they will say to people, just discount Tony Mack. He's a disgruntled person.
Well, you see, the thing is, they've been saying that all along, and I had to think long and hard from the 3rd of June and from the 4th of June when my statement was read out. I was almost immediately cut out of the party and the campaign. I've never been part of the campaign. You know, none of this is I couldn't be not associated with any of this as what's gone on. And the reason that I have been cut out, I've come to realise, is because I would not tolerate none of this. I'm honest. This is not what it's about. It's always about democracy.
So what does it say then about the party and for a wider audience of people around the country thinking possibly of voting reform? What would you say to them?
Well, you know, I believe Britain needs reform. I really do. You know, the present duopoly we've got, I don't believe in the last many years has been in the British people's interests. And when I say the British people, I mean all the British people. And so, yeah, I'm a reformer at heart. But, you know, this version of Reform UK under Nigel Farage, I do not recognise at all. So, yes, I mean, you know, whatever you want to ask me, I'll answer you openly and honestly. You know, reform for Britain is good. And I still support all my colleagues, many of them very, very good colleagues. Some of them, you know, not so much, but in general, the idea and the ethos of Reform UK is very, very good. But I have no idea where it's going over the last 3 weeks with references to, you know, Enoch Powell and things like that. I mean, I abhor all forms of extremism. You know, I abhor radical Islam. I abhor fascism. I abhor Marxism. All forms of you know, all forms of radical, you know, fundamentalist thought is anti-democratic to me. So, you know, the lurch that Reform UK has gone to, the rhetoric, etc., under Nigel is to me it's unrecognisable. And people may say sour grapes. Just a second, let me finish, Justin. People may say sour grapes, and of course I've had that levelled at me vitriolically for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that's why I've stayed silent, because I needed to consider what was going on. I took a step back and watched, not only as a person, but as a psychotherapist as well, what was going on. And I watched this man, how he operates, and I watched a few things, and I wrestled with my conscience for 48 hours, saw everything I needed to seek before I put my papers in. And I'm convinced that, you know, this is a bad thing for Reform UK. It really is a bad thing for Reform UK, because you need to remember that Reform UK is still a limited company, and Nigel Farage, basically, he owns it. It's unrecognisable to me that it was just a few months ago what Reform UK is now. And I feel disappointed in anyone, that in Richard Tice as the second largest shareholder, for allowing this all to happen. It seems to be now the Nigel Farage show, not Reform UK.
Tony Mack, thank you very much for talking to us.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.